Good afternoon, Bronx Arts Middle. It's Mr. Naruski, and this video will help you with Thursday's classwork for May 14th. We've been talking a little bit about compromise today, different compromises in the issue over slavery, difference between what free states and what slave states were kind of disagreeing and arguing over. Remember, a compromise is an agreement that settles a dispute between two groups of people. So when we're thinking of these compromises, we're trying to settle this debate between what free states believe in and then what slave states believe in. When you think of a free state, that is a state that has outlawed slavery. And when you think of a slave state, that's a slave that wants to maintain slavery. So if you open up your work for tomorrow, you're going to see that it is a skill day. There's going to be some skills when dealing with the compromises in slavery. Each of you has your own copy, so please open this up and you could type and respond right on the page itself. There are 3 tasks to perform tomorrow, and they're quick and they're short and they're based on a different skill. What I'd like you to think about throughout the entire day is, how did Congress compromise over slavery? Congress are the group of people that pass laws. Well, all these laws look to balance out slavery as what they thought was as fair as possible. There are some people that are going to want to eliminate slavery altogether, and there's some that are going to try to expand slavery. So when I think of the compromise, a compromise really tries to balance out both sides as evenly as possible. It might sound good on paper, but in the long run, it does nothing to stop slavery in itself in this country. When you look at task 1, you're going to see 2 maps. These maps look very similar to what we did together in class today. The first map looks like the Missouri Compromise. And remember, let's start out with the key. Everything in green are free states, and everything in purple are slave states. These are the abbreviations for every state: NY, New York; PA, Pennsylvania; NJ, New Jersey. Those are the states that are free at that point in the year 1820. And then there are slave states: VA, Virginia; NC, North Carolina; AL, Alabama. Those are abbreviations for those slave states. Notice it is even, it is equal. There are equal number of free states and there are equal number of slave states. That's on purpose, because when this state is looking to become part of the United States, there needs to be a compromise. There needs to be an even scale that continues. And that state is Missouri. And Missouri wants to be added to the United States. And if I look at this little blurb, the Missouri Compromise was designed to maintain the balance of power between the North and the South. It admitted Maine as a free state and Missouri as a slave state, giving each region 25 Senate seats. Remember, Missouri, mo slaves. There'll be more slaves here. But to compromise, there'll be Maine. Maine's abbreviation is ME, me. It is a free state. Me rhymes with free. And it also establishes this line, the Missouri Compromise line. This line is supposed to run from East Coast to West Coast. It's supposed to run from this side of the country to that side of the country. And everything north of that line is supposed to be free, and everything south of that line is supposed to be slave. Missouri Compromise, map number 1. When I look at map number 2, 30 years has transitioned between one compromise and the next one. And in this next compromise, we see new states added. The state of Iowa is added. The state of Wisconsin is added. The state of Michigan is added. 3 new green states, 3 new free states. And I bet if I count, there'll be 3 new slave states in the South. And sure enough, there's Texas, a slave state. There's Arkansas, a slave state, and there's Florida, a slave state. So right now, the compromise seems to be living up to what was created before. But now there comes an issue. As America continues to expand west, there are some new territories that want to become states. And some of these states have a strong opinion on either freedom or slavery. And California is a state that wants to be free. They do not want slavery. They want to be a free state. And when they asked to be admitted in 1850, this is going to throw the whole balance out again. It's going to be more free states, a heavier version than slave states. And a lot of slave states are going to fear that maybe laws will be passed in the future that will eliminate slavery. So a new compromise comes in. And I'll read this little blurb for you. New states gave the North a majority in the Senate, but the Compromise of 1850 permitted the residents of Utah and New Mexico to allow slavery. The related Fugitive Slave Act required that escaped slaves in the North be returned to their Southern owners. So if you want California to become free, you got to give it a little bit something. And in order for that to pass, both Utah and New Mexico could decide for themselves. The decision over slavery was left up to them and nobody else. And in order to get this passed, the second part, a Fugitive Slave Act, a law that was required if there was a runaway slave that made their way north, it was the requirement of the people in the North to bring that slave back to their rightful place in the South. And that's something that you're going to see unfold a little bit more as our skill day develops. So 2 maps. Once you're done really looking at those maps, take a look at these questions and you could respond right there. What are some new free states that entered the United States between the years of 1820 and 1850? Make sure you use both maps to identify the answer. What were new slave states that entered the United States between 1820 and 1850? Remember, again, use both maps. And then I really want you to explain how each side benefited from the Compromise of 1850. If you're present tomorrow during our meet, I'm going to ask that same question. How did the free states benefit because of the Compromise of 1850? And how did the slave states benefit because of the Compromise of 1850? Really look at it and try to explain through writing. That's task 1. Let's scroll down. We have 2 more tasks. When you scroll down, you're going to see task number 2. It is titled, and it has you looking at a poster. That poster is titled Runaway Slave Advertisement. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Fugitive Slave Act tomorrow, this law that made it a requirement to return escaped slaves back into the South. What I'd like you to do is really read this advertisement. Really pay attention to these words that are written. There are some that are bold, there are some names, and there's even a detail about what is going on in this advertisement. And then there are 4 questions I'd like you to answer. When and where was this advertisement created? Why is there a reward for Emily? Number 3, why are there different rewards offered for finding Emily? And the last one, what does this advertisement reveal about slavery in America? And really explain yourself in detail. Reveal, what does it uncover? What does it tell you that you didn't quite know before? And I want to see explanations. This should be detailed sentences, not 1 or 2 words. The last task looks very similar to task number 2, but this poster is different. So task number 3 asks you to look at this poster, and it's a warning. It's a warning of slave catchers. Again, read the context. Read these words carefully. It is purposely there for you. Please take a look at those words because that's going to tell you what's going on in the advertisement. And just like before, there are a couple of questions. Number 1, when and where was this poster created? Number 2, what warning is this poster giving? What might happen to those people? Number 3, how is this poster an example of conflict between what is right and the legal thing to do? So we're looking at your morals. What is the right thing to do versus what's the legal thing to do? Take your time with number 3 and really answer that in detail. And last but not least, number 4, how is this poster, number 3, different from the previous poster, number 2? Be detailed in your responses. What makes this poster, number 3, different than number 2? Guys, we're going to talk a little bit more about these compromises tomorrow. If you want any questions, please join us tomorrow at our Google Meet. We'll talk about the compromises and the fugitive slave law. Other than that, guys, have a great night and stay safe.